This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
It's only 3 more killing days till Christmas. We're talking don't open till Christmas. Hit it. It was 1984. The first untethered spacewalk took place. Ghostbusters was in theaters, and a lunatic went on a Santa killing spree. I'm your host, Jerry D, with another episode of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, and fads. If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, we got it covered. Now, joining me are 2 Totally Rad Christmas all-stars from the Film Strip podcast. It's Ron and Jay. Guys, how's it going?
Oh, we are going great, Jerry. And in fact, it's going so well. I talked about this with Jay earlier in the Film Strip chat, but I have composed a song for the occasion.
Okay.
And I believe the tune is public domain. And if not, you can always, cut it down to whatever you get before you run into
fair use
DMCA. Yeah.
It's 30 seconds, I believe.
So, all right, forgive my voice. I've been sick for seems like months at this point, but oh, killing spree, how lovely are your wabos. It's time to kill at Christmas time with boobs and 80s London slime. Oh, killing spree, how lovely are your jubblies.
Yay!
Bravo.
Yeah. Encore.
Well, I don't know how the hell I'm supposed to follow that. But
I don't. You should have chimed in first, man.
all I know, Jerry, is you invited me on here to do a 1984 Killing Santa movie, and it's not freaking Silent Night, Deadly Night, and I got questions.
Unfortunately, I have done Silent Night, Deadly Night, but when part 2 comes around, you guys are on my list.
Oh, I'm down for Garbage Day.
Day.
Done that, and I mean, we've done that and 5 Toy Maker on Film Strip. We haven't done any of the other ones. We'll get to them eventually. But,
that's hilarious. Yeah, they're all over the place. Those flicks.
The
But
one with Bill Moseley and the lawnmower is that and the bathtub that deserves discussion. But this is like the super British.
You know what this is? This is like Life Force meets Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's that British movie Life Force. It's bad when that feels like super blockbuster compared to
that
what you're watching.
Got such a genius plot compared to this though.
Life Force, Jerry, compared to that, Life Force was a very expensive movie. It was one of the more expensive movies that studio, whose name escapes me because you mentioned it.
It's Golden Globus.
It was Canon, I think.
Canon sunk like $20 million into Life Force.
Really, I didn't realize it was that much. But
Life Force is the reason Superman for the Quest for Peace sucks. Because they kept cutting the budget from it. It didn't have any money.
Or Christopher Reeve, they just kept cutting down his script.
Not the only reason, but it's a good part of it. Yeah.
It's part of John Cryer's reverse Mohawk. I can go all day.
Man.
On that.
But at the same time, I wanted to dress like
I think I did go all day on that. Many moons ago, back in the Film Strip archives, we did the Superman movies. But
nice.
I didn't know that. I did not realize that the reason the budget on it was so cheesy was because Canon lost its shirt literally on Life Force.
Well, it's okay because Matilda May also lost her shirt on Life Force.
Did she ever have
Yes, she did. Yes,
the
she
movie
did.
world is much better for it.
That's why we all watch Life Force, right?
I love how 3 minutes into the show, we've all named at least 5 movies better than the one we're talking about tonight.
Well, hey, Jay, it's like I told you earlier. Jerry has this like mostly family friendly podcast, and then we show up and we have to talk about movies where Santa gets his cut off.
Yes, right.
And you're probably going to have to
I'll bleep it out. Don't worry about it.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, that was. I was telling Jay before we got on that Like, I watched this, I don't know, whenever we were first supposed to record it, and I just kind of like skimmed through it real quick, and I was just making some notes and just fast forwarding. So there was a lot that I didn't realize happened. So this morning when I like sat down to watch the whole thing straight through, I was crazy surprised when that happens to the Santa, and just takes out a switchblade in the bathroom and just bam, just razor.
It's a straight razor, Jerry,
yeah,
because they got it at Mario Bava's yard sale.
Well,
and they're going to use it.
There's also the From Russia with Love boot knife you get. There's lots of knife killing in this one, man.
And the boot knife also goes into the genitals because
it sure does.
Somebody had I hesitate to use the word fetish, but let's just put it out there. Somebody had a fetish, and we were going to get that on film.
Yep.
Thanks, Tarantino.
It was very Bond villain-esque, right? Like, like what was her name? Was it not Rosa Klebb?
Yeah, it was Klebb. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, who gets those? Where do you get like a knife in your boot? I don't know. They don't have those at like Payless or anything. So, like, where do you go to get those?
Well, of course, you get them at Boots, Knives, or Us.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, ours went out of business a couple of years ago. So yeah,
COVID was tough on places, man.
Yeah, probably. You could probably get those at every '80s flea market.
That's probably true. Actually,
true. Are we sure it wasn't the original Spencer's Gift? Like next to the plasma ball from my science project? That was the other Spencer's Gift?
Yeah, it might have been. It was one of the
first lava lamp in the background. Gifts. That's right.
And it was also Victoria's real secret.
That's her secret. Yeah, the knife in her boot.
Real secret is that it was an old man from Cleveland. But,
yeah. So we're here to talk about Don't Open Till Christmas. Now, before we do that, just like Carol Kane did to Bill Murray and Scrooged, I want you to hit me with the toaster. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Just hit me with the first thing that comes to the top of your head. Okay, you don't have to think too hard about it. So let's say that Giles. So the spoiler alert, the villain in this movie. Let's say that Giles is Scrooge. Recast the ghosts of Christmas with Santa Harry from Christmas Evil, Santa Billy from Silent Night, Deadly Night, and the deranged Santa from Tales from the Crypt. Who would be the ghosts of Christmas, past, present, or future?
All right, Christmas future. Okay, Christmas present would have to be Billy from Silent Night, Deadly Night. I think he's definitely because it's the same year as this, that same idea. So, yeah, he's present.
Okay.
Give me the options again.
So would be Santa Harry from Christmas Evil and that deranged Santa from Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt's got to be future. So I would go Santa Harry's past.
Okay. All right.
And I would go with Billy as the past because Billy is twisted by the events that happened in his past. Then Harry, then Tales from the Crypt Santa.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I think those are both valid readings of it, but the deranged mental patient Santa has got to be future, I think.
Because that's the future for that kid, right?
Yeah, that's right.
The little kid watches Santa, commit murders.
Yeah, that's how you get a Billy, right? From
that's how you Billy, and Billy sees the same thing, and then then you have Billy's brother, who was of course triggered by the here in Charlotte on Tuesdays, garbage day.
Ours is Monday. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather defend your house from the wet bandits from Home Alone or the Santa from Deadly Games or, Dial Code Santa or Game Over, whatever you want to call that movie?
Ooh.
Oh, definitely the wet bandits. Yeah.
I feel like the wet bandits aren't going to straight up murder me.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not out for murder at that point. So maybe they should have been.
They probably should have been. Then they might have escaped with their lives.
They went out for murder till the second one, and that's where they screwed up. You got to You got to get your. You got to either commit fully to the murder in the beginning, or you got to realize murder's not for us. And then
get your murdering in first. Yeah.
Walter, no half measures.
Exactly.
All right, and finally, let's say that you're having Christmas with Giles and Harris. What dessert do you bring?
Oh, that's definitely a pudding situation. the British motif.
I like that.
I'm going to bring a banoffee pie.
Okay.
One of my favorite British desserts that is so difficult to find in the United States. It's banana and toffee. It's
Ooh, that
wonderful.
sounds tasty. I don't think I've ever had that.
No,
It's a
neither have I. It sounds good
it's a
now.
great combination.
I'll have to
Yeah.
try that. No, I feel like I'd probably just bring like a fruitcake, you know? Just,
I think the correct answer would be you bring a straight razor to open up a can of spotted dick,
Right. Yeah.
which I'm pretty sure that's a dessert. I've never quite really understood what food item it was supposed to be, but
I'm
aside
mean,
from just a
Googling it to
hilarious
find
name.
out.
Your guess is as good as mine, but that was like the perfect the perfect joke there.
Yes.
So that's just a way for our listeners to get to know you guys a little bit better. So thank you for that. Now, tonight, like I said, we're here to talk about Don't Open Till Christmas.
Present from the people who brought you Friday the 13th. Now comes Don't Open Till Christmas.
A homicidal maniac is loose at Christmas. His target is Santa Claus. No one dressed as Santa Claus is safe.
Released December 19th, 1984 here in the US. What do you guys remember about this one? Like what's your history or experience with it? Had you seen it before? Or why don't we start with you, Jay?
No, I had never seen it before. I think I had seen the box art, because it is a great piece of art with the knife and the bloody present.
Right.
But I had never seen it because I felt like, and I surmised this somewhat correctly, this felt like a Silent Night, Deadly Night sort of knockoff, even though it was made before Silent Night, Deadly Night was. But it felt like in the same vein of that, and all of that paled in comparison to Black Christmas, and my frame of reference for horror in 1984 for Christmas was Phoebe Cates and Gremlins, of course, with that horrific monologue. As we talked about
the best part of the whole movie, yeah.
the best part of that movie. But I never even heard of this, and so I thank you for bringing it to me, because it's rare to find a horror movie I haven't at least experienced on some level. But no, I was not aware of this one at all. But the more I watched it and the more I read about the backstory of it, I'm like, man, this is one that kind of got lost in the shuffle. But gosh, it seems like it's got a lot going on here, because we'll talk about it, but I mean, the director fires himself and quits, and then they have to come back, and he's also the actor. And,
he's also the lead actor, so
right? And then there's like a real 90-degree script turn, that half of which gets excised from the cut, at least the cut I saw on Plex. So I have no idea if it exists, but there's like a credited person that's in IMDb that's like probably excised from footage. I'm like, who the hell is that character? Never heard of him. So.
That's amazing. What about you, Ron?
It's funny. After I watched this, I was talking about it with my wife and was like, have we seen this before? Because so much of the movie just didn't seem really familiar at all until we got to the very end. And I thought, I know I've seen this weird ending before. So I'm pretty sure I've seen this at some point. And, it just...
Trauma blocked it?
Yes, exactly.
I felt like when I was watching it, that I was watching the movie Stage Fright. And if neither of you have ever seen that, or your audience hasn't seen it, I do recommend it. It was on Amazon at one time. It's probably on Tubi or something now.
Right.
But it is one of the most bonkers slasher movies that don't take place in a theater. And it is insane. So it's one of the wildest rides you can go on. But I got some of the same motif around it here. I don't know why, but
I mean, this thing felt like it was made for like $1,000, right? I mean, everything just felt low budget. And you mentioned like London Slime, from the 80s. And for real, it does feel really grimy and gritty. And like, at least in American Werewolf in London, like that kind of downtown London still seems a little bit nicer. But I think it's just because maybe the cameras were better, but the cinematography was better. But also, like, there's just something about like New York in this time and London in this time that just feels dirtier. And
it's the stink of urban decay. You can just smell it in the air.
That's
like
what it is. Yeah,
it's like
the funk
crumbling
of 40,000
and,
years.
Yes, it's like the smell of old bricks and mold.
Yeah,
and economic depression.
Yeah.
And in this case, rationing.
And seriously leaded gasoline. Like, I feel like this movie and Nighthawks with Sly Stallone and Rutger Hauer share a universe. Even though they're in completely different continents, they just feel like the same kind of grimy, dirty thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's those two, and it's also the movie Maniac.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
Maniac,
yeah.
yeah,
Maniac is like the across the pond version.
yeah.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that. I could see that
Maniac's
for
happening
sure.
like in a different borough, but still. So yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm with you. I had never seen this one before. I'd seen it on lists of like, 80s horror flicks or just Christmas horror flicks in general. And I was like, what is this one? I don't because I've seen the others. What am I watching here? So yeah, sure enough, turn it on, and next thing I know, there's all sorts of stabbings. One guy gets shot in the mouth, one guy gets burned on the grill that he's roasting chestnuts in. I mean, it was crazy, but also all the Santa costumes looked terrible. Like they were
Yes.
the worst Santa costumes I've ever seen. Even if you're like into Father Christmas, they're terrible Father Christmas ones. It's like they were made of felt or something instead of actual like fabric.
Well, as we can tell from the guy who gets his face roasted off in the chestnut grill, these things were clearly made with gasoline somehow.
That's
Like
right.
these
The
things
beard.
burn.
Yeah.
That beard must have been like, I'm sure it was soaked in booze, but like this guy really was one cigarette away from exploding his own face even before the killer showed up.
Look,
All he did was speed up the
it-
process.
right. Yeah, he was almost to the level of the Dan Aykroyd Santa costume in Trading Places when he hit the low point. It's almost there. They were
And yet
almost that dingy.
even that was like better quality than what we got here.
Yeah. Well, I think Ophelia worked at a better club than the Santa that went to the peep show in this one did. But yeah.
That peep show, that was wild.
That was also not something I had on my bingo card for today. That was going to be a part of the Christmas trash
We're gonna
movie
talk
that we're
80s
watching.
80s Christmas horror. You gotta have a peep show in there,
That well, there's like a formula to these things, and
Yep.
you can thank Sean Cunningham for that because he's the one that really started that. Because everybody blames Halloween for slasher movies, but it's really Friday the 13th's fault.
Yeah,
'Cause they're the
yeah.
ones
Oh,
that
see,
made it
I
cheap.
don't
That took the
see.
cheese down. Yeah.
I don't blame this one on Sean Cunningham at all. I blame this one squarely on Italy.
Oh, okay. You feel like there's some Giallo in this? Because
This,
wow.
well, I mean, the guy does have a straight razor. There's lots of stabbings. The blood is a crazy orangish red color.
It's not natural color.
It did give off well, as the kids say these days, it's giving cruel Jaws blood. That was very much
Is
what
that
I
what they
saw.
say?
Oh,
Wow,
yeah.
I'm so out of the loop. I didn't know that. Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, to me it felt most like, because by this point Hammer is basically doomed, right?
Yeah, Hammer's
And they're,
pretty much out of commission. Yeah.
Hammer's gone, but there's still a hunger for like cheapy horror movies. So they got a bunch of discarded, props from late 70s Italy. We're like, all right, we can do this. Yeah. Well, we don't have enough Santa costumes. Well, just get some, just get a bolt of felt and we'll make a felt Santa hat.
This is what it felt like for sure.
Who the seamstress was that got commissioned to do this. I just need you to make it kind of Santa-ish. It's just like, how long do I have? 4 hours. Got it.
All right, I got this. It's literally like, like in the scene where the Grinch, when the Grinch stole Christmas, how he just cuts it out.
Yeah.
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 I mean, that's literally what it looks like. They just took some felt and cut out this one little pattern that's not even like a full shirt or anything. And that's kind of what we got. They're like the worst.
I wouldn't be surprised if, besides the one that was lit on fire, and maybe they just shot that last or something, was that it just wasn't the same suit that they just stuck on everybody, no matter how big or small they all were. Like, because they sometimes it fit, and sometimes it didn't. So maybe it was just the same suit getting.
It could have been. They might have only had like two, because I think there's one scene where the two cops are undercover, right? And so there's two in there, but most of the time it's just one guy. So yeah, you're probably right. I wouldn't doubt that.
Can I talk about the cops for a minute? Ron will get this reference. The office that they're in, it's only as badly staged as the MRI room from After Last Season, because that looked like somebody's apartment, or something.
It probably was somebody's apartment.
I mean, like, I know Scotland Yard is basically just the cops, but in literature and in fiction, it's built up to be this like thing, and to have it low rented down to like the most drab office ever.
No.
So
They
for-
got their money's worth with that one shot of just the outside where it says New Scotland Yard. You know, 'cause
Yeah.
that was
You
inserted
mean
like
the-
4 or
the,
5 times.
the BBC, the stolen BBC stock
That's
footage
totally
that
what
they
it
dropped in.
was. Of course.
Yes, that's probably not stolen. They probably paid taxes for it. They own part of that.
No,
They can use it.
they didn't even buy the stock footage. They just sent a guy down there with the camera to take that one
Just Bo
15
fingered
second
it?
clip of
Yeah.
the rotating sign, because that sign is just like, at least 15 years ago or whenever it was I went, there's like signage out there, like you can just see it from the street. They just went some gross early morning and we're like, let's get this footage before anyone wakes
Before
up.
anybody's here.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was
The movie's
amazing
running
to
short.
see.
Throw it in again. You know,
Yeah.
just chop it in a few more times.
Every time we had to cut back, because otherwise the scene direction would have been like, why are these two guys just hanging out at home talking? It's just like they're sitting at their desk paying bills and going, oh yeah, let's not solve crimes.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, After Last Season is insane, but it prominently features an MRI room that's supposed to be in a medical facility, but it's the spare bedroom,
Yeah.
right down to the rotating 5-bladed fan with the 3 little light bulbs sticking out of it.
Right.
And the
Right, 'cause
MRI
that would be
machine
an
is
MRI
made
machine.
out of cardboard.
Yes, the MRI machine is made of cardboard.
It is, y'all. I mean, at this point, we've dropped that so many times. If y'all haven't bothered to watch that, it's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. But I don't feel bad for it. Go watch it. It's free on YouTube. So
Yeah, 90 minutes if you can make it through the whole thing at once.
well, I mean, the
which you-
MRI scene is like in the first 10, so if you just want that, there you go.
This whole thing was like so low budget, but also it had like some weird choices in it as well. So like they have the main boyfriend, like the main, quote unquote suspect, Cliff, right? Playing a flute, and he's like a street, like he's busking on the street, with his case open,
Mhm.
like playing flute, like give me some money. Why flute? Like there's all sorts of a guitar that's perfectly fine. Why I just don't understand. Like that's an odd choice to make. And maybe it's not in like 80s London, but
Well, Jethro Tull was about to win the first Grammy for metal.
oh, we don't
There
speak
you
of
go.
that. We don't speak of that here.
So that's probably, well, that was my take on it, is this dude's like one of those,
Doing
type
the tall.
of guys.
He just loves Jethro Tull.
Jerry, I once had a group that sang in weddings, and it was me playing guitar and a flautist and a singer. So I understand the delicacy of the flute. But
I actually joined a band after I moved up here that had a flautist, and drove me crazy. She's great person, fantastic flautist, but also like wouldn't stop playing. Like you got to
How to
stop.
weave that stuff right in and out
Yeah.
of there, man. It was great.
Yeah,
It was.
and you're
We
just like,
had a good thing going, but again, it was an odd choice. But I'm glad you told me the name, because I didn't know his name was Cliff.
they say it like twice. And that's
Okay,
it.
yeah, they say Kate a lot. They don't say Cliff
Kate,
ever.
right.
So I was
Kate's like the
worthless
main
guy. Like, it doesn't matter.
They say Kate's last name more than they say Cliff's first name.
Yeah.
that is true. Like Brioski, right? Is her last
Brioski.
name.
And I think they even say the creepy pornographer guy. I think they even say his name more.
His name is
often.
Jerry, which I was
Yes,
like, ooh, I felt
Jerry.
really creepy watching that.
Yeah, that's a direct shot at you, I believe.
I think so.
Right.
It's like you're gonna watch this? All right.
40 years
We got
ago.
something for you.
like, after your girlfriend's dad is murdered in a Santa suit, maybe don't take her to see your porn friend. Like, maybe that's not the move.
Well, he also
You're trying to get her to chill and have a good time. That's not how to introduce that, Cliff.
Well, he also tells her like, come on, get over it. Like your dad died. Like
it's a good
her dad
50.
just died like the day before, or maybe 2 days. Like, come on, man. And he didn't just die. He was murdered in front of her with a spear through like his skull.
Right. Yeah. Can we talk about the drunken Christmas party where Santa gets speared? It's not even the opening kill, but it's a hell of a memorable one.
Yeah.
Because he's just talking, and all of a sudden, whoosh, I mean, there's your Italian influence, Ron. I think you're right. But
Yeah.
I went Friday the 13th because I felt like, that feels like Tom Savini light, but
Yeah,
same.
it felt very much right, like the arrow coming through, the neck.
Well,
Yeah.
Tom Savini is the good version of those kind of kills, and this movie is
true.
not the good version of those kind of
It's
kills.
I could do that kind of
I
version.
mean, can we talk about Giles, like the elaborate ways he kills people? there's a lot of slicing and dicing.
There is, yeah.
But there's a lot of impaling. We're lighting people on fire. The only thing we didn't get was an Art the Clown pull the gun out and shoot somebody, which somehow would have made this
No,
worse.
he did.
Well, no, he does shoot somebody. He shoots one guy in the mouth.
You're right.
Yeah.
Never mind. So
Yeah, the guy like turns
okay,
around
so
and
he does that
just
too,
jams the
so.
gun directly into his mouth. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
No. What I
mind.
always thought was weird was that like when they're in like the London dungeon or whatever that place
Oh
is.
yeah, that was amazing.
You know,
yeah.
and he's just like grabbing stuff off the walls. So like he was following this guy. He wasn't prepared to kill him. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like what do you plan? He's like, oh, there's a Santa. Oh man, I left my stabbing knife at home. Damn,
look, Jerry, it's not you know, it's not marching band, it's jazz.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
He's riffing.
You gotta improvise.
He had the knife on him, but then he was like, wait a minute.
To be fair, that Santa got bullied by a bunch of teenagers who are like the older versions of the teenagers that bully Corey and Halloween ends. And so it was like an opportunistic, like, oh, well, there's a Santa that's already halfway down. Let me go finish it. You know,
at this point, it's a mercy kill. It's okay,
right? You know, though when he does have the half-naked girl hanging upside down in the London dungeon, I did feel like I was like, okay, yeah, that I know. I mean, you knew immediately, like, oh yeah, that's gonna be her. That's gonna come back to play and stuff. So that felt very Last House on the Left. In some ways.
So, okay, yeah, you're right. He likes to stab most of the time. I did like in the opening when it's like the Halloween with the pumpkin, and now in the newer ones where it's like decaying. I did like how it was like that wax kind of Santa that then would melt and then there was a knife. I thought, okay, I kind of see what we're going for. I get it. So I guess I understand why stabbing is like his main method of killing these people, but like that was, I think, my favorite shot
because it's cheap.
You don't need special effects, no squibs, none of that stuff.
They got one of those collapsible switchblades from a Cracker Jack box, and they are going to use it.
Exactly.
And boy, did they!
Yeah, that got used a lot. That opening bit though, with the people in the car, the Volvo.
Yeah,
that was interesting. I love how the guy tells this dude to shoot or whatever, and just immediately goes back to macking on the lady.
Yeah, he's like, get out of here, all right.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, oh, that wow, the 80s. So
get away, go on, clear off.
Oh, forget about him.
Well, there's like a moment where he like turns after the guy, he tells him off, and he's like leaving. He like turns like he's gonna go do something, and then she like grabs his face and like keeps him in check. Like, no. I don't care if there's like a crazed dude out there looking at us. Like, we're getting this done now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
I'm getting
service. The guy clearly had game, but all I could think to myself was like, man, that is a showstopper. If you're making out with the woman in the car and somebody starts looking in, that's it.
Mood done. Like, forget it. But then he finally gets out.
Clearly, she was into it.
I mean,
kinda, yeah. What did what was there was a name for that? Wasn't there a whole movie about that?
Dogging.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
Yep.
Very British. Very British reference to throw into this podcast.
Well, it's a British movie, right? So let's see how many obscure British films we can.
They may not be claiming it, but yes, that this is a British movie.
It's not obscurely British though. The fact that the chief inspector does the whole South Park, Captain chewing my ass, blah blah blah. He's talking about this nameless person who's wanting him to solve crimes and do all this crazy stuff and put the Santa suits on and go out there. I'm like, can we get one scene with this guy saying this? Like,
okay,
is one overdub?
So you're talking about Inspector Harris, who is the director as well,
Yeah.
But okay, the moment you have like 2 people killed in Santa costumes, like get on the news and tell people to stop dressing as Santa, right? I mean, right. I know you don't want to cause a panic, but like legit, just put it in the newspaper. Person killing people dressed like Santa. Stop dressing like Santa. And like the movie would have been over, written and directed by Martin or whatever his name is.
Or alternatively, the town goes, bump that. Everybody dresses as Santa and says, bring it on.
Yeah.
And then you have mob justice.
Evil dies tonight, right?
Evil dies tonight. Ho, ho, ho.
But you got to say it in your worst British accent. to make it right.
Oh, I don't even. I
I'm
have
saving my worst British accent for the
for later.
reenactment
Yeah,
segment.
same.
So
Yeah,
just, I'm
same.
holding
Me
on
too.
to that. So,
Oh, I got a good one. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. But
yeah.
he does. You're right. He does go through like a whole lot to kill these folks. Like some of them are so easy. They're drunk. Just like push them off a building or something. But he has to like grab this big old machete or like this weird. I don't even know what that thing was. It was like a rod with almost like a big giant shooting throwing star on it. You know, and he like throws that and it just lands in the wall. He's like teasing this poor guy as he's chasing
Maybe
him.
the fair was in town. He swung by, won that.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that he was able to sneak in the peeping show booth to kill the Santa who's trying to sweet talk the dancer or whatever.
Oh, the
And like
pervy
he has
Santa?
room to
Yeah.
get in, and nobody notices. Those aren't known for their room.
If you want to call what she does dancing, then we need to have a serious talk about like,
Oh no,
I mean-
she says she's a dancer. Look, check it out.
She was moving to a groove to a song that they did not have the license for.
No.
That was very obvious.
okay,
Very
that's
much
fine.
Crispin Glover in Friday the 13th 4. Like, she was dancing to a different tune.
I'm not really a model. I'm a dancer.
A dancer?
Yeah, you want to see?
Is that it?
What do you expect? Flash dance?
She can gyrate her hips. We'll say that. That's kind of what dancing was, I think,
And
back
she had
then.
on a suggestive shirt. That was the whole point. She was being a tease. And then she got red Crayola thrown at her.
It did look like a melted crayon, right?
Yeah, it looks like the contents of one of those scented wax melters.
Yes.
I can
like
see
you put
that.
the little cube in there,
Yeah.
you turn it on, and it just becomes this like blood red, gluey paste.
Yeah. Or like the hot wax, like when they're putting a seal on, like in Robin Hood or something, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
one of those wax seals.
Yes.
Like that
very
as
much
well.
So. Yeah.
Yep.
That would fit.
So I did like we kind of mentioned it already. I did like that kill with where the Santa was roasting chestnuts. He's like a chestnut vendor, so he dressed up as Santa to sell some more, and then they kind of have a little scuffle, and then he gets his face like fried on the grill. I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, it was pretty cheap, but out of all the ones that we saw, I thought that was one of the better ones, I should say.
That one and the spear one may be
I think those are my
favorite.
two favorites. Yeah.
My favorite kills, and they're within the first 10 minutes of this movie, so that tells you something.
That's smart filmmaking by what I can only assume is Minako Golan, who I think was one of the producers on this, or who distributed it.
Well,
I think it would have been a little bit higher budget.
how are we able to determine who is responsible for what got directed and written? Because there's
I don't know.
It's additional scenes written and directed by so and so,
Right.
and then it was written by, then directed by the star. And I'm going, how can we tell the difference?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you.
Weaves a narrative. I mean,
Right. Exactly. If it did feel like there were large chunks cut out of the whole movie as you're watching it, like this, like, wait, what happened here? I think something not quite right there. But I have a note here. It says, "What's up with the housekeeper?" So she wants to see like the photos of like the crime scenes and everything, and like it's a good one. I'm just like, what? Like, okay. I mean, I get people are curious about that, but that just seems like oddly inappropriate for the housekeeper.
She's an early. Yeah, go ahead, Jay. I think we're making the same joke.
Go for it. You're gonna say that better than me.
I was gonna say she was the literally the person who began the true crime podcast wave.
Yep.
There you go.
I was just gonna say she probably, when she, whatever the British version of Dateline, her 48 hours. That would be what she would be into.
To catch a predator or whatever, to catch a killer. Or something
Sit down over there, do you?
I'm going to tell.
I found this lovely website, rotten.com. It's full of the most delightful horrors.
Tonight, children will watch Faces of Death 4.
I found some tapes at the pound shop. They're called Guinea Pig.
I've got it in the Betamax.
Tonight on Unsolved Mysteries.
Tonight on Britain's Grisliest Murders. We're going to talk about the Yorkshire Ripper.
Again.
It is funny because there's like a whole thing between Powell, who's like I guess the second in command under Harris, right? Where like Giles shows up and he like tries to put the blame on Harris and he's like really trying to lead us down very unsuccessfully. Like there was no point. As soon as you see Giles, like you're like, well, that's the guy. I mean, just something about him. You just know it's him immediately. And sure enough, yeah.
All right, Mr. Giles. What have you got to tell me?
Well, my newspaper...
Your newspaper didn't seem to know where you were. In fact, they've never even heard of you.
Yes. Giles Morgan. Yes, your Sergeant McBain showed me up.
Yes. Now, you mentioned on the phone that you had some information that might lead me to the murderer.
No, I said, would it help your promotion prospects if you were to solve the murder personally?
Yes, all right. But you do know something.
Your Inspector Harris, does he tell you everything? Let you know what his movements are? You know, generally keep you in the picture.
Well, I have a fair idea of what's going on. Now, come on, what are you getting at?
You should keep a better eye on him.
There's nothing. And then I feel bad for saying that because, then he did commit suicide before the film was released. So, yeah.
Yeah, but he committed suicide because his wife died.
Because his wife had died.
Yeah. It's not because he did some sort of horrible crimes.
No, but yeah, I'd still feel bad about it. It's just, it was one of those like,
they don't do a good job of hiding him as a character in the way they costume him and the way they shoot him or anything. And as I said before, like if you want to have the mystique of the Scotland Yard ruined for you, watch this movie because they suck. They're terrible.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like if you want to keep Scotland Yard, watch. There's a whole slew of things, to keep respect for that.
Yeah.
I do like Kate in this. I thought she was probably the best actor in the thing. And
I mean, she is, but at one point she is clearly looking at a card off to the left, trying to read dialogue that is very clunky.
I said what I said.
Get it out. Because it's broken like it would break on a card. It's not done in sentence structure. It's like, and then the man went to the market for the. Really like going, what the hell line is this?
Now, like, to be fair, Jay, that was clearly one of the scenes that
that was one of the rewrites.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not blaming her.
Literally, somebody standing there, like while she's in the middle of the scene, like frantically scribbling down on a card to hold up and like shake at her.
Oh yeah. No,
it's like that scene from Love Actually, but
struggling
about a murder.
Yes, struggling to get through this stuff.
One thing I have in my notes here is the Velma from Scooby-Doo moment. Do you remember that in the London dungeon when like the girl like drops her glasses and she's like on the floor like looking for them? You can tell she's nearsighted. And then Giles just we don't know it's Giles at this. Well, we're not supposed to know it's Giles at this point, but he steps on them and breaks them. And I was like, this guy watched too much Scooby-Doo.
Did anybody else immediately have Gene Shepard's voice in your head going, oh no, pulverized, when he did that? Because that's what went through my head.
Only I didn't say fudge.
Oh, that's very funny.
That's amazing. No, I did. I can't say I did, but that's... But he also takes the time to dress up like different things, right? So when they're there, he puts on like the monk's robes also, and he's like chasing this poor Santa that just got like his bike jacked from those punks. So it's like he's trying to like really get into character and like build a whole thing.
They also have that whole mask thing going too. That distort your features mask or whatever, which is. Yeah, I've seen that in other things too.
It reminded me very much of False Face from the Batman 66.
Yeah.
It was like this plastic kind of mask, and the only thing you see are his eyes, which may or may not be coming back later. So yeah, and then they're like interviewing Sherry, and Sherry was the girl that worked at the Peep Show. So her mom owned the Peep Show. She's the one that was filling for her mother or whatever. She says that, and so like they're interviewing her. She's talking about the eyes. They interview Sharon, who was that like model from earlier that had the Santa outfit on, and she says the same thing, something about the eyes, like his eyes kind of danced, and I remember that. So that's like Giles's main characterization. And when you look at pictures of Alan Lake, I mean, he's got like a Peter Lorre eye thing kind of going on. So at least in that respect, they kind of cast someone that I thought did a good job. I'm going to try to be nice about that. But
can I tell you, I was surprised that Kate was not the final person, like when they actually kill her off.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't expect to see that Peep Show girl was going to be the one to survive to the end. I thought it would be the other way around.
That's right. Well, and does she survive? We don't know because
true. Yeah.
He falls. So he ends up falling, right? Giles falls and like down flights of stairs. Like, there's no way this dude would be alive, but it's a horror movie. So of course, when she goes to check on him, because she goes to check on him instead of running away, he like gets up and starts strangling her. And then we cut to like this weird dream sequence flashback thing.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Hold that sequence, but to the point of I picked the wrong final girl because I was like, well, Kate's obviously gonna live to the very end and somehow kill this idiot. And then when she doesn't, I was like, oh, we're subverting expectations. Look at you, smart horror movie.
Yeah.
It's definitely subverting expectations and not just a gigantic screw up because this movie was written and rewritten 8 times.
I'm giving it. I'm feeling
we
like
might be giving it too much credit.
That Swift and Shannon ripped this off for Friday the 13th, the remake, when they killed Daniel Panabaker just out of nowhere. And then they were left to the other girl and Supernatural guy. That's all that's left because I didn't see that coming either.
And at this point, the final girl motif was like still kind of coalescing into that motif,
forming,
right?
It wasn't completely baked, yeah.
So, but I think you're right, Ron. I think
it was still clotting together like some of this
that's right.
terribly mixed blood paint.
Yeah.
But also, I think you're right. I think it's literally just because the director quit and they're like, how do we end this thing? So they hired the writer to direct it, and he lasted 2 days, I think, and then they fired him.
And then the editor took over, and then the original Edward Purdom came back, and they used the original ending.
Yeah,
which makes no sense.
Which doesn't really work. I mean, the original ending is, I'm assuming, is him sitting by the fire with the present playing the music box that blows up and kills him. That's what happens at the very end. But if you're talking about like the inserted dream sequence from out of damn nowhere, which needed to happen like an act before.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at some point, like, you're obviously like, well, he's related to one of these guys somehow. Like Giles is clearly, the long lost brother, something, that's what we learned. But we needed to reveal the why of that, the Billy moment, if you will, long before, because I mean, I thought Finola Hughes showed up for a cameo in this at the end of it, man.
No, but we did get a Carolyn Monroe cameo.
Right?
What? Wow.
Well,
she was there for like till lunch max, right? I mean,
she did the same production company, which has like 5 films. Spectacular Trading International, which is a great name for a shitty company. They did the movie Slaughter High, which features Carolyn Monroe. So I feel like this is kind of like a we owe you one or I owe you one sort of deal where she's the star of the one thing, but they still. It was the Roger Corman thing of where we've got we finished this movie in 30 days, but we've got like 40
we only have like 40 minutes of film, so let's insert.
Well, no, like we paid this guy for 40 days of work. Let's just do a second movie around him while he's hanging out here.
Yeah,
come on, Peter Cushing, get back in the game.
It could be. I wouldn't put it past. Or like she owed somebody a favor. It was like, look, I'll be in your movie. Just don't make me pay you back for all that, or something.
I'm the warrior of love. Yes, I am. I'm coming to get you. I'm the warrior of love. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm coming to get you. You don't have to fight, baby, just surrender. I would treat you.
It's funny. I've actually met Carolyn Monroe when she was doing the it was like a signing at a video store here locally.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And wow, she is a very striking woman in like, you know how you can just look at someone and say, oh, they're clearly someone famous.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
She just, I don't know if it's like the symmetrical face or
Yeah.
what, but like very
Stealth-
captivating, like, because it was weird. It was her, and it was she signed the early shift, and then the late shift was Ken Faree from Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, okay.
And other things. And it was like between the two of them, it was like just this. It was both like this tonal whiplash of like, you know, looks, because Ken Faree is like
Mhm.
6'7", and she was like 5'5", maybe in heels.
Mhm.
But they both had that same quality of like when they are in the room, like
Everybody
you just
stops.
want to look at them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, she was Stella Star, so good old,
Oh, that's right.
good old Star Crash. That's terrible. Another terrible movie, but even that one had better production quality than this. So I can't say anything about it.
Can I get y'all to explain to me how you read the flashback sequence and
So
all that?
I think I know what happened, but also, like, you're right, it didn't belong here. So I don't know if it's actual Harris's dream or if it's Giles' memory as he's strangling him, or both, or that's happening at the same time, or what. But so I guess when they were younger, because it turns out that Harris and Giles are brothers, like the dad came in dressed as Santa at a Christmas party, gives him gifts, and he goes upstairs with like one of the ladies, and is getting busy while Giles walks in and sees, and he's like trying to like tell him to get out, and then the mom comes upstairs, and I think he pushes the mom down the stairs. Is that what happened? I mean, that's what I thought happened.
Yeah, I believe there's some sort of like altercation, and then she does the psycho fall down the stairs. Flails her arms and
too.
Doesn't actually fall,
and then is just lying there all of a sudden. Yeah. And so that kind of billied him, So
yeah, can I tell you what would have been more interesting?
Yeah,
just to rewrite that, if Ian Harris had been the one that walked in and saw that, and then all this is going down. The mom's like, "Oh my goodness, my boy is seeing naked women, and my husband screwed them," and it starts having like a very British reaction, and then Giles comes in and throws her down the stairs, like,
"Oh,
go
yeah.
ahead, Pop, finish what you're doing." Like that would have like made more sense, because then you set up the evil brother that I'm going to completely block out of my brain.
That's getting dangerously into what's the Thanksgiving movie with the twins, whose name escapes me? Is it Blood Feast?
It might be. I thought you were maybe going for the remake of House of Wax, because that's also kind of what's going on in that movie.
Well, that too, but
Blood
I'm trying to
different.
I'm trying to stay in the 80s.
Well, I don't know, but when you said, as soon as you said that, Jay, all I could think of was Cousin Eddie. Like, it's, if he got a little bit of Mississippi leg hound in it.
Best just let him finish, Clark. Yeah. I mean, but really, that's kind of what happens anyway, because the mom is like, "Let me get my son out of here so you can finish." Whatever. It's like, oh God, this is
like, sorry.
He's waving that little Boy Scout knife around at him too.
Very British, like, oh, I'm sorry for interrupting. Like,
the movie is Blood Rage. I finally remembered.
Blood Rage. Okay. No, I don't think I've seen that.
Blood Feast, Blood Rage, Blood Harvest.
Blood Beat was one.
Blood Beat.
Mm-hmm.
Blood in, Blood out.
Blood Sport. The other thing that I really loved about this movie was the Home Alone 2 style electrocution.
Yeah.
Again,
their car batteries must be way different than ours.
I don't know how he does it, but he rigs it. Giles rigs it so that as soon as and I don't know how he knows that this is going to happen, but he's opening car doors so that he lures Powell into like this parking lot. And as soon as Powell touches the door of this car, he rigged it up so that he just gets fried. And yeah, it just, man, I love that. I think that one was my favorite kill just because it was so different from the rest.
My favorite kill is actually with the way Sherry kills Giles, or that we think kills Giles. He's throwing that chain around, and she just grabs the other end of it
and
uses superhuman strength to throw that man over this 100-pound woman throws that 185-pound man over the railing.
That's right.
The chain
this
thing,
100-pound woman who's been starving for days, apparently.
Oh yeah, because he kidnapped her. Yeah, he totally kidnapped her.
It was just an apple.
Look, I just watched a movie where a woman was stranded on a 2,000-foot tower and she eats a buzzard, and all of a sudden that's the will to live. Okay, so movies do this, all right? Even to 2022. That's a movie called The Fall, by the way, or Fall from Scott Mann, and I don't recommend it necessarily, but The Tournament from Scott Mann is awesome, and you should all watch that.
I can't let it go before we say we mentioned it. That castration scene.
Yeah,
that was odd. So
yeah, and to me, it's like he's the one who least deserved it because he was just taking a leak.
But also, like, he was just like he's killing everybody, just stabbing him. Why is this one different? Like why his MO
is different if you caught him having sex and like it was like a trigger,
right?
But yeah, no,
this poor dude just relieving himself.
I feel like what this movie missed out on was in that flashback dream sequence where the little kid is threatening the dad with the knife. He needs to give him the old
chop, the old Lorena Bobbitt.
The extreme circumcision. He just needs to like
exactly.
Well, I mean, that kills an overkill anyway because he stabs him in the face, and we get to see the fake eyeball made of icing running off of the side of the thing. Candy eyeballs.
It totally was. Yeah, but that poor dude. And then a lady sees him, right? A lady is the one that finds him.
Yeah, some poor cleaning lady.
Yeah. Oh man, these ladies, they got it rough in this film here. Like these dudes just. But yeah, so as we mentioned, it turns out that Harris and Giles are actually related. They're brothers. Harris changed his name from like Ian Harrison
to Harris.
Yeah. And so that's why he has no birth certificate when Kate's like investigating him. But she even like goes to dinner with him, right? I mean, it's weird.
Things were way different back in the day when all you had to do was like take the sun off the end of your name. And you could be a completely different person who gets a job as a cop.
Yeah, no one knew anything.
No background checks.
There were no background checks.
Nope.
Oh, my papers were all lost in the fire. Which one? That one. Okay.
Yeah.
The one I'm going to start later.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I think Ron, I think you hit it in the head. Any inconsistencies can be easily explained by the amount of production and writing and rewriting and reshooting and multiple editors and directors. It's amazing there's even a plot in this movie.
Is there a plot?
At all. I mean, yeah. There's a guy that stabs people around and he dressed up like Santa because his dad was dressed up like Santa screwed and threw his mother down the stairs. That's the plot. It's not well done, but that's the plot.
Of all the Killer Santa origin stories, this one is like the weakest.
Yeah, I agree.
Not necessarily Killer Santa, but like a Santa killer. Like this is the weakest reason to be a holiday themed serial killer. Like,
but that's also what's different, right? So like up to this point, we've seen like more people dressed as Santa going to kill, and this one is like a guy that kills people dressed like Santa. So I bet you anything they were just like, you see what we did there? You see how clever we are, and just proud of the fact that they like flipped it. But
Jerry, that's really the difference between the Transformers and the GoBots.
That's right. Yep. Oh man.
or better yet, let's keep it in the 80s, more in the 80s. But they have the golden arches. I have the golden arcs.
That's right.
McDowell.
They have the Big Mac. We have the Big Mick.
Exactly.
That's great.
Exactly.
What would you guys say? is your happiest moment in this film? Like
I got to be that ending flashback that quote explains it all. I mean, that's just when that happened. I was like, hold on a minute. I had to scrub back a little bit. Like, wait a minute, make sure I got that. And I was like, oh no, there's nothing to get.
Nope, it doesn't.
Wow.
It's not going to add any kind of depth or anything. No,
that or the London Dungeon. That was
my happiest moment is the fact that a very small music box is apparently full of nuclear materials because of the size of that explosion. Like,
that's what I was going to say.
Like, pack that thing full of as much
C4
as you could fit in there, you're just barely going to open the door. Like, he's probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like,
but also,
that's less C4 than it's in a claymore mine.
But also, like, did that kill him, or was he just knocked back? Like,
I mean,
got
the side of his face looks like it's like burnt or something.
He's got like Looney Tunes, like burns on him.
I mean, we're to believe that is the kill shot. Maybe it's the shrapnel from all the little music parts.
Maybe
they should have had the little music box dancer like sticking out of his eye or something.
Yeah.
Oh, Purdom was like, "Nah, I'm not doing that. Forget that."
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
man.
not what I've put in my script. Haha. I'm not.
That's all right. Oh,
I'm
man,
not letting this fool glue things to my face.
But now we come to my favorite part of the show, which is a little segment I call Gag Me with the Spoon, where we do our best impression of one of our least favorite parts of the movie, which we're not quoting the whole movie. So, I'm sorry. But whoever wants to go first, go ahead and just kind of start us off. Just set up the scene a little bit for us so we know where we are.
Snow outside. There's a man in a Santa suit and a blonde in a white silky shirt. They begin to make out in the back of a Volvo. Suspend disbelief for a minute that you could actually pull that off in a Volvo. But they're doing that. And another man is breathing heavily, walks around them. And the man inside gives the greatest British blow-off of all time. Get away! Go on! Clear off!
That's the best way to get someone to leave. That's right.
I'm going to start using clear off in lots of just everyday conversation now.
Clear off. I feel like I gotta cut that bit and just throw it in randomly, like in any like future shows.
Yes.
Clear off.
Yes.
That was good.
I think that's a great idea. That's awesome.
What about you, Ron?
Oh man. Okay. So, I've been trying to like actually find the quote anywhere, but I can't find any quotes for this movie. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong places, or maybe the internet's just like trying to protect me from my own stupidity. But so you've just met your best friend's girlfriend who's just undergone a traumatic experience. She storms off to buy a newspaper because apparently that's what you did in the 80s. And then you just look confused and horrified and smack yourself in the forehead because you invited her over for a threesome ? Or to shoot some couples pornography the day after her dad died.
I mean, isn't that old
killing that's in all the papers?
Yeah.
And you conveniently forget, like, and this is back when papers meant something, or were possibly used to just wrap up fish that he had because it's 1982 England and everyone's eating, fish and chips all the time.
But isn't that old saying, like if you're gonna shoot like couples porn, then you do it like 2 days after your dad dies. That's
I never heard that one before.
I think you've said that for years.
When life kills your father, you go make some pornography. The most repulsive sort of pornography you can make. Which is a boudoir shot in a run-down flat with mold growing on all the windows.
We've gone so far in cinema from like Peeping Tom, the cinematic classic from 1960, to this for the same reasons. Man. But wow, we've gone.
And Peeping Tom is the much better version of this whole subplot.
Yes, it really is.
Making
That's terrible. Oh man,
average people pornography, or pornography with average looking people, but however you want to say it.
So I chose this is Sharon, the model. Powell goes to interview her afterwards, and he's talking with her, and she's like, she can't remember. He was wearing a mask. She didn't really get a good look at him, all sorts of things. But she says, he said, "Was there anything you remember?" And she says, "One thing, his eyes, they seem to smile." She said it like
Nice.
the dreamiest, like worst kind of delivery ever. Oh man, yeah, fantastic. But G.I. Joe taught us that knowing is half the battle. What do you guys think is the other half?
What if Mom had just joined the Santa Menage a Trois?
Oh, that would have solved everything.
Or radical thought. What if the brothers got split up and adopted by Jewish families? It almost worked in the Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 scene. Almost.
It was close. It was close. Yeah.
Just saying.
What do you think,
I had
Ron?
other questions too, like what if Kate just left town? What if everyone wasn't an idiot, including Scotland Yard?
If knowing is half the battle, then the other half is clearly having cool 80s leather blazers. Because I noticed
that's right.
Every man in this movie has some sort of leather blazer type coat on, and it's just like top-notch fashion, like peak hideous fashion. And the fact that you can hear them crinkling as they move suggests that these are either brand new jackets or very old jackets that have not been maintained.
Little column A, little column B.
These guys survived down the years till Ian Malcolm got one as a mathematics professor years later, and it became his whole personality.
He's so much taller than all these people would be, though. So he had to buy two of the jackets and sew them together.
That's
true.
Jeff
Goldblum would be a dinosaur to these people in terms of his height.
Well, those are both better than mine. I just thought if no one's half the battle, the other half is just not playing Santa when there's a guy killing Santas around. So, like, come on.
If knowing is half the battle, then the other half is not peeing in front of the serial killer.
For real. That's like, just hold it till you get home and you lock the door.
Look, there's two rules: no sex in the champagne room, and do not pee in front of the serial killer while wearing a Santa suit. In South Central.
Yeah, South Central London.
That's right.
Yeah.
Guys, it's been a lot of fun. Tell me about your shows, like anything you got coming up or anything you want to plug.
Well, our show is the Film Strip Podcast at Film Strip Pod on all the social media. We're going to have lots of fun special guests, and there's going to be lots of fun movies and lots of fun movie discussions. And I think everyone, if you enjoyed the vibes on this podcast, you'll enjoy the vibes on Film Strip because it's very similar. And you might even, if you check the archives, find some more Jerry D content.
Night of the Creeps. That was fun. That was a fun one.
You can also, if you're into professional wrestling, and particularly thinking about great main events of the past, you can catch me and Film Strip alum Brian doing something we call the Main Event Maniacs on a show called The Juice Box. Our buddy Juice Springsteen does a lot of current wrestling content and keeps you up to date with what's going on in the product. But he's got us doing these sort of retrospectives back on some of the greatest and maybe not so greatest main events through history. So we just started those, but if you just subscribe to the Juice Box and look in the feed, you'll see some Main Event Maniacs material in there. So we've done the big one, the big one to start with, Hogan and Andre, and then we just covered the
classic.
We just covered the Cody versus Roman, the story, parts 1 and 2, and lots more fun stuff to come. So
right on. Yeah.
Yeah. Cody versus Roman is going to have as many chapters as Trapped in the Closet by R. Kelly.
Possibly.
Oh man. I gotta put a disclaimer on this one here. No, this was a lot of fun. Definitely go check out Film Strip. It's fantastic. These guys know more about film and have forgotten more about film than I'll ever know. So and they're hilarious, as you heard here. So for sure, go check out Film Strip, and they can find you on the interwebs at, what'd you say?
At Film Strip Pod. That's
Film Strip Pod.
Everywhere. And then we don't have a website anymore. We had a domain forever that just redirected, so we just stopped doing that. So you just search Film Strip Podcast wherever you find your podcasts. You'll find all of our our shows, and we're also coming up on our 400th episode. So we've been doing this quite a while, but oddly enough, I've still not covered a lot of things. So a lot of fun stuff to talk about still.
There's just so much to cover. Yeah. But
yeah, we couldn't get around to doing all the good movies we wanted to do because we were too busy watching 6 American Ninja movies.
I was literally about to say American Ninja 5.
Yeah. Back in the retrospective heavy days, we finally freed those shackles and just do whatever we want. But, yeah.
Oh man.
The only reason I think we did that is because I wanted to do Carnosaur 2 and nobody else wanted to watch Carnosaur or Carnosaur 3. So
there was that
Andy Sedaris days.
And it just became it also became a game of sunk cost. I'm like, I'm not going to watch 5 of those, but I might watch 1 or 2 of them. Eventually, also, and as our friend Matt Spalding likes to proclaim often, also because when all the streaming services stopped putting anything you wanted to watch actually out there, it just became a matter of what can I actually find somewhere without having to pay extra for it.
Yeah, so, it's true. Honestly,
or go to a torrent.
Right.
Not that anyone should ever.
We don't do that. Yeah. No. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But on that note, let me just say thanks again. And I'll end it with Christmas is no time to be a policeman. So check us out on our social media pages, which you can find at linktree.com/totallyradchristmas. And if you're feeling like Harris opening his present, leave us a review on iTunes. It helps us reach more people and spread some rad holiday cheer. Now, don't forget to check out our merch shop on tpublic.com and our super dope website, totallyradchristmas.com. Hey, Ms. Brioski, Merry Christmas. Later, dudes.
You saw his face, so you can describe him.
Well, no. You see, he was wearing a mask, and there was blood on the glass. It sort of covered everything up.
I see. So you're telling me that a man can stand in front of you, commit a murder, then turn around and walk out, and you don't remember a single thing about it?
I do remember one thing. His eyes. They sort of smiled behind the mask. If I saw those eyes again, I'd recognize him. If he was smiling.
Not a lot to go on, but it's something.